Hey Ryan, good to have you here. And it's late here in India, and thank you so much for coming and giving some time for this. Um so you're doing some amazing with LinkedIn Local, and it's going global, and it's a worldwide revolution kind of a thing, which everyone is trying to be part of. Even I'm looking for a Bangalore chapter, getting in touch with the people. So this is amazing. So today we would love to know about you, LinkedIn Local, the story, LocalX, and everything, and absolutely about the community building which happened, that too on a global level, the hacks, the problems which you faced. So let's start with the first thing about you. I would love to know about you. So yes, go ahead.
Oh, well, Pras, thanks for having me, man. I'm looking forward. I love my favorite part about LinkedIn Local is meeting folks like yourself and having these conversations. So thanks for taking the time. I know it's late your time, so cool.
Pleasure.
Yeah, so I'm Ryan. I'm an entrepreneur, father, triathlete. I like to live life. We live this life once, so I like to be heavily involved. Sometimes people will give you a hard time about how involved you get, but I think why else do we live, right? We live to meet others and to experience life. And so I am an entrepreneur. I've been doing that for a little while. I've got a background in both engineering, product, and marketing, so I'm a little bit of a mutt when it comes to my career, but that's kind of by design. I do live in Washington. I run my business out of here. My actual day business is called Theory, and we help basically innovators, entrepreneurs who have ideas about mobile apps, web apps, and digital products. We help them design and build and validate those. So I get to be a creator every single day for others, which I
Awesome.
enjoy.
That's awesome.
And so LinkedIn Local just happened to be one of these adventures I happened to go on about a year ago. So I can't wait to share more about that.
Yeah, oh, that's amazing. And it's more than an adventure, I guess, because it's going viral and people love to be part of these things, going out, and that offline flavor which comes with LinkedIn Local is just amazing. You absolutely want to meet those people, see those faces in real, which are truly different than their LinkedIn profiles, obviously. So yeah, kudos to you and your team. You guys started this, and this is really amazing. So going forward, I would love to know, how this all started basically, and then probably we can move next to, first of all, tell me how, from where you got the idea of starting LinkedIn Local. What was the first thing?
Yeah, well, so it wasn't my idea, but I think deep down we've all had this idea that technology is really taking over our lives, and the amount of time we spend on our screens and between our screens. I think deep down we've all had this idea that we really need to get offline, and
Yeah,
meet others.
absolutely.
But so Anna McAfee, who is I call her the mother of LinkedIn Local. She about a year and a half ago started recognizing, hey, I got a lot of connections that I've made on LinkedIn that I've never really met. And the amount of time that we spend in our social feeds, following people, liking people's articles, and kind of getting to know them from a digital perspective, it seems kind of crazy that, you know, we need like business related excuses to come together, right? So it just seemed kind of crazy that the only excuses that for people who are meeting on LinkedIn to come together were for sales conferences or marketing conferences. Like, there just needs to be other ways for us to come together. And so Anna put a post out there, and she says, hey, any of my connections that want to get together, we're going to go grab drinks next week in Coffs Harbor. And I think there was like 50 people that showed up. And these were
Wow.
people that she had never met in person. She had only interacted with them on LinkedIn. And in many cases, didn't interact with them on an ongoing basis. It was literally maybe they had saw one of her articles or commented on her posts. So the point
Amazing.
being is that she put this idea out there, gave it the hashtag LinkedIn Local. People showed up. Fast forward a few months later, others around the world, Alex, Manu, Eric, Brian, and myself, we started to slowly pick this up and wanted to be a part of it and help Anna kind of take this really simple idea and make it global. And so we've been working on that for the past year. We
Wow.
went from, I like to say we went from one idea, one event in one very, very small town to we are in 70 countries as of today. Um, over a thousand events by
Amazing.
700 hosts. And these aren't just your average hosts. These, in my opinion, are some of the most influential, empathetic, authentic people on LinkedIn. They just really have a desire to want to help people connect beyond the screen. And so that's really been the fuel of this community. I mean, I like to think that, we kind of started this thing. I like to think of what we do as the founders. We're stewards of something that's bigger than us. And our entire mission is to enable as many hosts as we can to do this. And that's what we've been doing for the last year. And it's been a crazy ride.
Awesome. Like that's like a brilliant story, and the growth of a community in that too in an year is just amazing. And big shout out to Anna also, who started this. Like that's just lovely. Okay, cool. So you guys have reached to so many people and so many countries, so many cities, and lot of hosts. How you managing this? So I'd love to know, at least two problems which you have faced, and probably how you have sorted them out.
Well, it's been truly a duct tape solution. I mean, as a community manager, somebody that runs a community, for a community to thrive and survive, it takes a lot of work behind the scenes, right? The other thing that's also interesting about this, there's been lots of quote unquote movements that have started, but most have kind of come and gone. There's been lots of campaigns on LinkedIn that have come and gone. What I believe has made us sustainable is it's a really deep need that people recognize, but the existence of this thing is not by accident. There's been a lot of work behind the scenes between our team. We also, beyond just our core team of Anna, Alex, Manu, and myself, we have an army of people that no one ever sees behind the scenes that are mentoring new hosts. They're onboarding new hosts. There's a lot of work that's going on behind the scenes to manage this thing. And then there's also a lot of work that's going on by our hosts in each chapter. They really, what amazes me the most about hosts is that they just really take ownership to this.
Right.
And they kind of build these local little communities, and they just really are empowered to do that. So that's been the one big thing for us, is it takes a lot of work behind the scenes. There's been a couple of things, I would say, challenges that we've had. Just creative ways we've gotten around that. Something that is really important to our community is the actual curation. We call it a curated community. So we actually are very deliberate about, I wouldn't say that we are, we keep people away from being hosts, but we take a lot of time to make sure that every host is onboarded and that they understand the mission and ideals of the community. We coach and teach them towards being a really good host. And unfortunately, sometimes there are hosts that don't quite work out, right? We like to be very inclusive, and that's our objective. But some of these communities can go very astray if you're not careful about those who are running it, right? Because people have agendas. People, sometimes don't get it. Your first goal is to help them along, right? Coach them, push them along, and really help get them there. But in some cases, that's not always going to happen. And running a global community is hard enough. It becomes even harder when you have to deal with one-off cases to have to manage. So that's been one of our biggest challenges, onboarding. For the longest time, this thing was, piecemealed together through posts on LinkedIn, people emailing Anna. So we finally put together a really basic website and like an onboarding process. So we've got a full CRM that runs now. So we can intake new hosts. We can immediately distribute them to a regional team of mentors that we have that actually get on a twice weekly call. We offer twice weekly calls for new onboarding sessions. So that's been something that we really have taken some time to put together. Again, it comes down to quality. We really believe in good quality will create a sustainable,
Right.
community for us.
Right.
The other really interesting thing that's been not really a challenge, but it's kind of been a hack that we've been using.
Okay.
We have been very fortunate to well, actually, it is a challenge. We had no money to do this. Like we literally, like, we're not getting any funding from LinkedIn. We're not a part of LinkedIn. We're just the users of LinkedIn. We've thrown some of our own dollars at this, but to get to where we have gone from the beginning to now, we haven't really spent that much money. We've done this all through bartering. We've literally have bartered our way to where we are today. We've exchanged services with others. I mean, Anna or Alex, we exchanged, for example, Alex gave away like a day of her services because she's a freelancer in exchange for someone to do our branding package, right? I've given away, my time in exchange for, different, help on the product with the community. So we've really have figured out a way to reward people in different ways to the community, whether it's through social influence, social currency, as I call it, right? As hosts, they get a lot of exposure. It's really awesome for us to empower hosts, and so we've really have figured out a way, a meaningful way to exchange talents and services.
Like
Because
how?
really, at the end of everything from writing copy for the website to putting us in contact with outlets like Forbes, to putting together hosting guides. I mean, every single thing we've done has been a barter to date, and which has been great because we really believe that this LinkedIn local community is for the users by the users of LinkedIn. We're just simply 4 users who decided to be crazy enough to push this thing along.
Right.
And so we've really have just made it, we've been very deliberate on getting as many people involved, no matter how small or how big, in this year-long process. So those have been some things, that we've experienced along the way. One other challenge we've also had has been around just the actual use of the name LinkedIn. We are not endorsed or affiliated to LinkedIn. I mean, I would say we're advocates of LinkedIn. We're all
Yeah.
users of LinkedIn. Enjoy
It's
the platform.
clearly mentioned also, like everywhere you have mentioned that we are not part or like, of
Correct.
related to
Correct.
LinkedIn. Yeah.
Correct. I mean, we we would like to work with them more, but this is a really challenging thing because legally this is tough, right? Because you've got users coming together offline in an environment that, for example, LinkedIn doesn't really control. So there's certain liabilities there. And I also think there's certain parameters, LinkedIn as a product and as a company is really focused on doing well as a product. And I would venture a guess that managing a community offline and events is not core to their product and to what they do.
Right.
And so I think it talks a lot to why we're kind of picking up the ball and trying to do this piece of it. And then we really use LinkedIn as we kind of view LinkedIn as a channel, right? It is a digital communication channel that we can continuously share the story of LinkedIn Local and the, thousands of stories that are created from the movement. That's really how we see that. So that's been a little bit of a challenge, branding and what we call this. Hosts love to use the LinkedIn logo, but LinkedIn doesn't technically support that for various trademark reasons. Mm-hmm. We always tell them, we kind of do the disclaimer, you're not supposed to use it, go ahead and use the word LinkedIn Local because that's just a hashtag at the end of the day. So that's been a little bit of a challenge for us, and we're trying to navigate our way through that in a way that hosts can still feel really empowered that, I want to, make sure, I'm a part of this and use LinkedIn Local in the name, but we're very careful about how we brand this because we're friends of LinkedIn. We love them, and we want to find a way to really make this community continue to grow.
Right. Absolutely. Nice. That's nice. So I guess we got 3 points here. So one is like that there was it's like no resources and funds for this. So you solved that through barter, right? And then we got like like in the I guess curating the community. I guess that was the thing, like so you have heavily invested on curating the community and like and giving so much to the host, like giving them a lot of recognition all around. So awesome, that's been awesome. I guess if someone has to ask you, like that Ryan, tell me some hack also, like how did you hack to say a global community, like so like what will be your answer, like any specific hack which has worked out to to spread it so much? Like it's been so big. Obviously, you're advertising it on LinkedIn again, so that makes a lot of sense. But what else?
Yeah, I mean, LinkedIn has obviously been, it's a little bit of a perfect storm in terms of, video came out, hashtags came out within LinkedIn around the same time as this. So, there's a lot to be credited to that. A couple of hacks. So, I mean, we threw together a website in a weekend to get the thing out there so we can start building an identity. I think having an identity is very important as a community, and there's a lot of ways you can quickly hack that together. I would say our quickest and easiest hack was also throwing together a Slack community so we could immediately get hosts into it and start having a one-to-one conversation with them. We didn't need to build any sophisticated product or long leadways for that. It was, we just really, needed to get our hosts in an environment where we could create dialogues between them, because that's who we support as our hosts. I feel like if we can make hosts successful, then the community and the movement will be successful. So that's been a little hack. And I mean, there's been tons of hacks along the way. I mean, everything from, if LinkedIn hears this, they're going to hate me for this, but we technically can't use LinkedIn local because we respect their trademark. So we just dropped the I. We got linkedinlocal.com, right? So little things like that. Obviously we're towing the line there, but the point being is that, unfortunately, or whatever it's worth, the users associate with that. So they need to be able to find these events. They need to be able to find the way to get involved, and we need to be able to serve that for them. So little hacks like that have helped kind of keep this thing alive and keep it moving forward.
Awesome. That's brilliant. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, Ryan. So I guess that's majorly what we wanted to hear. And even the viewers wanted to know, how did LinkedIn Local grow? And it's been so massive right now. And I guess we have almost covered that. So anything specific, because this video, this content is going to be for many community builders. So anything specific you want to say to them, or any one wisdom, or any one thing which you want to say or tell them, with respect to community?
Yeah. I mean, communities are so interesting. I mean, they're, in communities, you often get your most active, engaged users, right? You can see people who are there for a purpose and a reason, right? And I think it's a huge opportunity to capitalize, not capitalize the wrong word, to capture and mobilize that energy, right? So one of the things I think has worked so well for us at LinkedIn Local has been that we recognize that this is a community full of talented people who are hosting these things. And this is equally as much of theirs as it is any of us. And so for us, really empowering those who run the community at scale is so important. I think that community managers should recognize that, and find ways to get your most vocal people in the community involved. And that goes for people who are advocates, but also your protractors, people who are kind of maybe critical to your community or are causing issues. We find ways to get them involved. So if somebody has an issue with something, we, instead of letting it harp on us, we figure out, well, how can we get you involved to make this part of the community better? And we've done that on several occasions, because we recognize that we're not perfect, and we recognize that the community is always evolving. So getting people involved, I think, is so important, not just in the community, but in actually building the community.
Oh, that's one amazing advice. Thank you, all the community builders. That's an advice to you from Ryan. Thank you so much, Ryan. So cool. I guess there'll be enough for us to know about LinkedIn Local. How about you give a little bit info about LocalX, and what are you guys doing with LocalX, and what's it all about?
Yeah. So one of the things we've learned through this past year with LinkedIn Local is that what we've actually done here and what is going on is actually bigger than just LinkedIn Local, and it's bigger than just any one of us individually. And it's this need to kind of reconnect with humans, right? So this problem of the human connection gap, right, which is created by a lot of different things, right? I mean, we've seen in the world over the last year, how people have become more isolated, separated, because of issues on Facebook, for example. Facebook has been a great platform, but it's also caused a lot of unintended consequences. Here in the United States, we've had very hard, political climates for a little while, right? Lots of frictions there. And so through our experience with LinkedIn Local, both from operating a community standpoint, what it takes to actually logistically do that, and our bigger desire to want to create more connections offline, we created the company LocalX. So it's actually local by in the United States, where we go by the name of LocalX. And in a nutshell, when you think about it, you look at like TEDx, right? Well, the X in that stands for a community-driven involvement, community driven by the users. So LocalX, in a nutshell, we are building a community management platform that is for all the X's out there, right? So whether it is, local, LinkedIn Local, which is by the users, whether it's by, XYZ company, whatever it is, whatever the brand is and their users, we are delivering them a platform to create community-driven chapters, events, and all those things. So it is a tech platform we are building. We intend on rolling it out to manage our own community. Mm-hmm. And then beyond that, we will open it up to other organizers, community entrepreneurs that are creating their own communities, brands, even cities. We had a couple of cities approach us to want to deploy this. So we are going to then essentially provide LocalX as a platform for community organizers to run their user-driven communities. So lots of stuff that can come from that. We're in the process of designing and building it now. And so what will end up happening is, LinkedIn Local obviously has been it's our bread and butter. We love it. But eventually what will happen is, we'll probably end up just using our product to help us do our work that we do on that community. We'll make it more visible. So one of the big challenges we had is people being able to show like, hey, this is my group, this is my chapter. I'm, LinkedIn Local San Francisco. We're going to make it a lot easier for groups and communities to be visible, to let people sign up as members to the community or to a specific chapter, put on events. Oftentimes there's a lot of logistics around challenges around getting venues and sponsors and media. So we want to start to look at reducing some of those frictions and just make the actual running of these chapters and events easier for volunteer hosts, right? That's a very unique thing. These are hosts that are volunteering their time to do this. Yeah. So that's LocalX in a nutshell. We do have a website. You can go to localx.org and learn a little bit more about it. And, it'll likely be, over the next 3 to 6 months, we'll start to slowly roll out some capabilities, first for the LinkedIn Local community, and then for some early adopters, most likely in the US first, just so we can test it. And then we'll start rolling it out, in other parts of the world, which is a big challenge for us. We're in 70 countries in LinkedIn Local. So that means LocalX from almost day one has to be a global product. Yeah. So if we can solve that and if we can figure that out, I believe that LocalX can be a very valuable tool for other global communities around the world.
That's brilliant. Everyone note it down. It's localx.org and you should check it out for sure. Brilliant. So I guess, Ryan, we should take a haul now, and it's been great that you have been here, and thank you so much for your time, and more power to you and the team, to Anna, to everyone who's building LinkedIn Local and part of LocalX. It's been amazing, and would love to see some of it in India. I guess it's already there, but not that. I'm from Bangalore city, and I guess it's not that crazy right now in Bangalore. But yeah, definitely I'll try to do it myself. And yeah, thank you so much.